while millions of people are shouting at their TVs, painting their faces, and feeling crushed because 11 strangers lost a game. There is a huge group of people who simply don't care. And, according to neuroscience, their brains may actually work a bit differently. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain might completely change how you see the sports-obsessed people in your life. Here's something most people don't talk about. Not caring about sports doesn't make you boring. It doesn't mean you lack passion. And it definitely doesn't mean something is wrong with you. But something interesting is happening in your brain that's different from the 60% of Americans who follow sports very closely. Let's start with a simple question. Why do so many people care so much? Humans are naturally group-oriented. For thousands of years, being part of a group helped people survive. Your group protected you, helped you find food, and kept you safe. Sports today work like modern groups, just with jerseys and logos. When someone watches their team, their brain releases oxytocin, a bonding chemical. It's the same chemical that helps you feel close to family and friends. In a way, the brain makes sports fans feel like these athletes are part of their group. But here's where it gets interesting. People who don't care much about sports often have weaker group instincts. Their identity isn't strongly tied to belonging to a group. They tend to be more independent and individual. They're more likely to think, I don't need to belong to a group to feel whole. Research supports this. A 2019 study found that people who aren't interested in sports show much less us versus them thinking. In simple terms, they don't automatically dislike the other team just because it's not theirs. Now it gets even more interesting. What happens in a sports fan's brain during a game can be intense. That excited feeling before opening a gift? That's dopamine. Sports fans get that same feeling again and again during a game, every play, every moment. This constant anticipation can be addictive. Brain scans show that watching a favorite team activates the same reward areas as gambling and other addictive activities. The key reason is uncertainty. You don't know if your team will win, and that keeps dopamine flowing. It's the same system that makes slot machines so hard to stop playing. People who don't care about sports don't get this dopamine response from watching competition. And this may be partly genetic. Research from the University of Chicago suggests that differences in dopamine-related genes can influence how much someone enjoys watching competitive events. So your lack of interest in who wins or loses might actually be in your DNA. There's another important idea called basking in reflected glory. When a team wins, fans often say, we won. When the team loses, they say, they lost. Notice the change in words. People who don't follow sports usually don't do this. Their sense of self doesn't depend on outside wins or losses. Their confidence is more stable and less affected by things they can't control. To be clear, this doesn't mean one way is better than the other. It just means there are real psychological differences, and they're fascinating to understand. Here's something surprising. Sports fans often score higher in certain types of empathy. They practice caring deeply about people they don't know simply because they support the same team. So why don't non-sports people feel that same empathy for athletes? It's about where empathy is directed. Everyone has limited emotional energy. People who don't like sports often use that energy for other things, close relationships, art, music, nature, ideas, or social causes. A 2021 study found that people with low interest in sports scored higher in openness and appreciation for beauty. They get emotional meaning from art, creativity, and learning. Their brains are looking for the same things: joy, connection, meaning, just in different places. For some people, not caring about sports can also be a form of protection. Maybe they felt left out in school sports. Maybe sports culture felt aggressive or unwelcoming. Or maybe they simply never understood why adults yell at screens over a ball. Your indifference might have a reason. Or maybe you just find sports boring. Both are completely valid. This also explains why sports fans and non-fans sometimes struggle to understand each other. It comes down to how meaning is experienced. Sports fans love stories, underdogs, comebacks, rivalries. The drama feels real and exciting. People who don't like sports often see that randomness as meaningless. They think, why should I care about something I can't control, involving people I don't know? That doesn't affect my real life. They're not wrong, and sports fans aren't wrong either. It's simply two different ways of finding meaning. One group finds it in championships. The other finds it in books, relationships, creativity, or discoveries. Researchers call this the difference between parasocial investment and direct engagement. Sports fans form one-sided emotional connections with teams. Non-sports people prefer investing their emotions where they can directly take part and where their actions matter. Neither approach is better. They're just different ways of living. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who studied flow states, found that deep focus and joy can come from many activities. For some it's sports. For others, it's almost anything else. People who don't obsess over sports often say they feel more present in their own lives. They're not spending hours watching someone else's struggle. They're focused on their own. So what does all of this mean? If you don't care about sports, you're not missing out. You're not broken. You're not boring. Your brain is simply wired differently. Your reward system, your sense of belonging, and your focus are tuned in another way, and that's perfectly okay. The next time someone asks, "Did you see the game?" and you truly don't care, remember this: you're not wrong. You're just playing a different game. One that might even have higher stakes.